When was the last time you saw a black person, a Hispanic person, a white person, an Asian person, a Native American, an African, and any other nationality actually sit down and talk to each other? Not at work, not in some forced diversity training where everybody is just saying what they're supposed to say. Not just general small talk in the break room. A real conversation about what they're actually going through when it comes to racism. Go ahead, I'll wait. You can't think of one, and neither can I. Think about that. Really think about it, because they are having conversations about us, and you already know who I mean by they. There's an organization called Turning Point USA, 900 chapters on college campuses across this country, founded by Charlie Kirk, now run by his wife. Yeah, the same one Drewski made a whole video about. 900 chapters, organized, funded, focused, while we're on the internet arguing with each other. And then there's people like Dalton Etherly. You know him as Chud. He built his whole career being openly racist on camera, live streaming himself calling black people slurs, calling them chimps, walking up to strangers in public because he knew the law protected his right to say it. That was his brand. That was how he got famous. Now there is a video out there, allegedly, suggesting that Chud has some very particular personal interests involving a strap-on. I'm not going to comment on that. What a man does on his own time is his business. But it does make you wonder if some of this anger isn't really about race at all. Maybe Chud just needs a hug or something. Anyway, this week Chud was arrested twice. First at a Nashville steakhouse. He started making racial comments when staff asked him to stop live streaming, caused a scene, then walked out without paying his $371 bill. Entrees, appetizers, drinks, the whole thing. Racist and hungry, apparently. 3 days later, he showed up to a courthouse in Clarksville, Tennessee, for a debt case, by the way. A debt case. Got into a confrontation with a black man named Joshua Fox outside the building. Shots were fired. Joshua Fox was airlifted to Vanderbilt University Medical Center for emergency surgery. As of today, Chud is sitting in a jail cell on attempted murder charges. Bond set at $1.25 million. Now here's my question. While Chud was out here live streaming his racism and shooting people in broad daylight outside a courthouse, what were we doing? Black people and Latino people were arguing over neighborhoods and jobs. Black Americans and African immigrants were beefing over identity, over who's really black, over who belongs here. Caribbean people come here and get the same side eye. Asian communities were keeping their distance from everybody. And Native Americans were watching all of us fight over a country built on land that was theirs to begin with. We are out here fighting each other like we are the problem. We are not the problem. And if this video is making you think, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Now let's keep going. Now I want to talk about two types of racist white people, because this is not one group. The first is easy to spot. The hood. The slurs. The open hatred. Chud is that guy. At least you know what you're dealing with. The second type is the one doing the most damage. The white person who genuinely believes they are not racist. They voted for Obama. They say they don't see color, but this same person sits on hiring committees, calls the police because something just didn't feel right, and votes for policies that make it harder for us to get ahead, all without once thinking of themselves as racist. That is the most dangerous person in this conversation. At least Chud knows what he is. Let me tell you about Elijah McClain. Elijah was 23 years old, a massage therapist in Aurora, Colorado. He played violin for shelter animals because he thought the music made them feel less alone. He had never been arrested, not once. On August 24th, 2019, Elijah was walking home from a convenience store wearing a ski mask because he had a condition that made him cold easily. He was listening to music, dancing a little as he walked. Somebody called 911 on a black man wearing a mask. Officer Nathan Woodyard grabbed Elijah within 8 seconds of getting out of his patrol car. No introduction, no explanation. They put him in a chokehold, and as they were choking him, Elijah apologized to them. Let that sink in. Paramedics arrived and injected him with an overdose of ketamine. Elijah's heart stopped. He died 3 days later without ever regaining consciousness. Woodyard went to trial and was acquitted. The city of Aurora then paid him $429,895 on his way out the door, nearly $500,000. He's out there right now, living his life. Nobody knows where. I genuinely do not understand how you choke a person to death, walk out of a courtroom, and collect $500,000 from the city that employed you. And George Zimmerman, not even a cop, just a neighborhood watch volunteer who decided a 17-year-old black kid walking home looked suspicious. He followed Trayvon Martin, shot and killed him, was acquitted, then painted the Confederate flag, posted images of Trayvon's body online mockingly, and sold the murder weapon. That man rubbed it in public, for years, and walked around free. Now Elijah and Trayvon are black, but this isn't only about black people. Vincent Chin was Chinese American. In 1982, he was beaten to death by 2 white Detroit auto workers who thought he was Japanese. Neither man spent a day in prison. In 2019, a white man walked into a Walmart in El Paso and opened fire. He left a manifesto about the Hispanic invasion of Texas. 23 people died. And Native Americans. When the Dakota Access Pipeline was planned, it was originally routed near Bismarck, over 92% white. Rejected because of water concerns, so they put it through Standing Rock Sioux land instead. When the tribe protested peacefully, law enforcement showed up with rubber bullets, attack dogs, and tear gas. Different people, same decision about whose life matters. I am not saying every white person is your enemy. There are white people who get it and stand with us. What I am saying is that racist white people, the ones with the hood and the ones who think they don't have one, are the common thread running through all of it. Every group on this thumbnail has felt this. Every single one. And they are counting on us never connecting those dots. That is the psyop, and we keep falling for it. The moment we actually sit down and talk to each other, not at work, not in a training, but for real, the whole thing starts to crack. That is the conversation they do not want us having. So let's have it.